This is definitely not for sissies. Very, very, very rocky, very steep, difficult with four-wheelers, blowout punches, tiring, hit the water, stone dead, burnt the clutch out. That's the race.
Tarkastad, 60 kilometers west of Queenstown in the Eastern Cape, venue for the second running of the Tarkastad 400 off-road race. The Settlers Off-Road Motor Club have produced a challenging setup for this one, and the Tarkastad Heat will provide probably the biggest obstacle. It's a popular race with the local community, farmers making their private land available for the 200-kilometer circuit. The competitors will go round it twice in a clockwise direction. Joining us is Kenny Schulthammer, the acclaimed South African off-roader, having wrapped up virtually every race in the book in his career, including the Roof of Africa on 2 and 4 wheels. Kenny, nice to have you along.
Thanks, Glenn.
The first 200-kilometer circuit complete, then pit stop time, vitally important. First in is Richard Carolyn.
Couple of dips in the water, so that's not too bad. Car's going well. Both brakes, I think they're giving a bit of trouble.
With the race being so close, obviously races can be won or lost in this area. This is Franz Czepik, junior and senior, always a major threat to everybody.
We were leading, but then we had a broken ignition wire. That put us back about 5 or 10 minutes, but we're in the running. Everything seems under control. We've sorted it out.
Refilling the drinking water, most important. Alpi Reinicke and Robin Houghton.
Robin, I think we should change the tyre quickly.
The pits get quite hectic at this stage. There are marshals that adhere, check on your speed limits, and that the guys are out of their vehicles when they're refueling.
We were going great. We passed quite a few guys. I think we were lying second. And about 10 k's out, we got a puncture. So we just quickly changed the steer wheel, have a look around, carry on.
There could be a star of the future, Bevan Bertolt, ex-Group N driver.
Route marking is fantastic.
Great.
I'd like to just thank Brooks Carolyn from Lubrication Equipment for preparing my car so well. It's really going well. The temperature gauge I have to drive very slowly because it's getting hot all the time. So on the main straights I slow down, you know.
Tactics for second lap.
I'm going to take it one car at a time until I get to the front.
Okay, we've seen a number of the four-wheelers in terms of the motorcar categories, but now the four-wheelers, the quads, the motorcycles. Interesting category, and perhaps made famous in recent weeks by Vickers van Deventer at the Paris-Dakar, Kenny.
Yeah, it was unbelievable what they managed to do to finish the event and to actually win the quad category. It was unbelievable. For a first time out, it was great.
Just remind us, the quads, it looks like a motorcycle, it's almost a car. It takes a special person to ride it.
Yeah, you really have to be super fit. The guys, as you'll see, the track is very narrow on these things. It's not the same track as a car. So the guys are driving one wheel in the middle, monarchy as it were, and one wheel in the track. So it's really difficult.
Do the guys tend to spend a lot of time up out of the saddle, or unlike the motorcyclist, because it's four wheels, they have a slightly more comfortable ride? Or is that not the case?
I don't think it's the case now. I don't think they tend to sit a lot more than the motorcyclists, but it is a two-wheel drive, and only the back wheels drive. So it's a live axle, which means you have to slide that bike around the corners. This is Christoph van der Merwe. As you see, the technique is very different to the cars. The bike is very short, okay, which means that if there was a steep bank down there, he would actually tipple in. He would sort of go end over end. You see, they're very cautious going into that water.
Again, I can see the guy's putting a lot of weight on the back of the bike, shifting his whole body to the back there.
Oh, he's looking for some traction. It's not always the right thing to do, but you know, the guys have their own techniques and they ride it as they feel. quite interesting that the quads can actually get stuck in a mud hole like that as well. They actually do float. Those wheels, if that bike was left on its own, it would float in the water.
First into the pits, halfway round, 200 k's gone for the quads.
Very well at this stage. Quite tough. Hands are a little bit sore. I think everything's going well now.
Only 200 k's to go. Onto the motorcycles and the two-wheelers. Kenny, I guess, best expresses the whole free-riding spirit of off-road racing.
Yes, Glenn, but these guys are really top-class athletes. They train unbelievably. They're in the gym. They're doing road work. And, yeah, they're top-class athletes. They're in that saddle for 8 to 10 hours a day. So, you know, some of the races, 1,000 kilometers, they really are, they need to be fit.
Debbie, come in.
Also, there are different categories in these, with the motorcycles. There's the open class, then they have a 250 class, and then they have the 200. So you can get in at any level, really. So which is fantastic. So if you want to start and you can't compete with the real top guys, you can get in, you can buy yourself a bike and enjoy it.
Now, we've seen already the water, the drinking water aspect and how crucial that is. Would the motorcyclists tend to go through a lot more fluid than a guy sitting in the seat of the cars, for example?
Well, the bikes, they have, if you look on their backs, they have like a camel back, and halfway they would refill it. They would, depending on the person, but they normally refill it at halfway, and then they pace themselves so that they have 3 liters of water for 200 kilometers. Which is very important to keep rehydrated. See the different styles of the riders. Some of the guys will be attacking the water, other guys are a lot more cautious. Here's Elmer Simons. He took it the right way. You'll see now what's happened is the guys are very close together because they've actually got caught up in the dust and they tend to congregate and sort of follow each other, which it does tend to get a bit hectic in the dust. Not that there's any here.
That's always nice to know. If the bike gets stuck, you can always get off it and take the weight off it. You can't do that in a race, Kate. Okay, guys, let's all bail out and push, although it does sometimes happen.
Yeah, it does. But the bikes are... it's a fantastic form of motorsport. It's easy to ride. Everybody can do it. You need a bucky and a bike, basically, and you can get to the races.
Here we go, halfway marker for the motorcycles. First man in.
Alfie Cox, what can we say?
Yeah, again, much like Vickers van Dever, helping to glorify off-road racing because of his Paris-Dakar exploits.
Oh, most definitely. They brought off-road racing to the fore. People are now aware of what's happening. You see Alfie drinking here. It's unbelievable that what they've done for the sport. And with Neil and Bix, unfortunately, they had a problem, but the racing has really people have become aware of what's happening with off-road racing now. This is Errol Dalton, second into the pits.
And as if the physical demands of riding out there for 200 k's at a time aren't hard enough, rehydration absolutely critical, and it really did affect one of the
I
riders.
pulled up to like 8th place again, after dropping back like to 20th or 30th, and I got to the second fuel point, and I just thought to myself, no, I could feel I was going to get sick, and I forgot a whole complete lap. So rather than destroy my body, I've decided to, and I think you're going to find a lot of guys pulling out towards the end.
On to the second lap of 200 kilometers. Let's get to specifics. Kenny, how are these guys doing?
Well, this looks like it's Harvey. They're leading the race at this stage. They've managed to get Pinoy and the rest of the guys have had a few problems. And Chepek hot on his heels. So it looks like this race is really developing. There's RP Reinicke, which means that he's right up there. He's leading the production vehicles at this stage, a Class D car, which is the ultimate in the production vehicles. There's Derek Pinoy, quick fit. He told us he had a problem with the fits, and he's moving up. He's one of the quicker guys in the specials. One of the quickest drivers we have. Oh, here comes Neil Woolridge in the Pajero. Next race, he'll be in the Class D car as well, the Paris-Dakar car, which is now docked. And there'll be another driver in that vehicle. There's Bevan Berthold. He's really moved up fantastically. This is his first race in his new car, so he's really, really done well.
So here we are, a perfect example of how different the terrains are on this 200-kilometer route, Kenny. We've had plenty of dust, we've had rocky, watery section, now more the open terrain sections.
Right. Well, Glenn, I don't know about taking a bucky down there, a farm bucky down there at that speed, but up he's actually going. He's ultra competitive. He's really a superstar in this category.
Really sharp, jagged, rocky terrain here as we get to the closing stages, Kenny.
Well, it's coming towards very close to the end of the race, so you really have to be careful that you don't get a puncher. This is our leader at this stage. He's on the home stretch, but you never can tell. Things do go wrong. Not over till it's over. And Chepik right behind him. It looks like he's losing his skit band underneath. And this is Richard Carolyn. This is Obit. This is the guy that went through the water earlier. A little bit drier this time.
It looks like a smooth cruise to the finish, but as you were saying, Kenny, anything can happen in the last few Ks.
Most definitely. We have a saying in off-road racing, it's never over till it's over. So let's see what develops.
Well, here's your overall winner.
Now, this is Greg Hart. Yes, Glenn, but these guys are really top-class athletes. They train unbelievably. They're in the gym. They're doing road work. And, they're top-class athletes in the race car. And third overall, looks like Obert Carolyn in the lubrication equipment race car. Race car's first, second, and third. That's fantastic.
Coming into the pits after the first lap, we were lying fourth, and our pit stop was quick and we went out first, and from there we just kept the pace going and tried to keep everyone behind us.
Yeah, it was very hot out there, but well, it wasn't too bad. Quite demanding, physically demanding, and very demanding mechanically as well on the vehicle. But it all came together.
So the classification for Class A, first home Greg Harvey and Boy Stone in the Raceco in a terrific time of 5 hours, 32 minutes and 47 seconds. Class B, the winner Bevan Berthold in the Gearbox Den Raceco, just over 6 hours and a minute for him. In Class C, Villy and Chantal Borain in the Sandmaster in 8 hours, 14 and 50 seconds. And in Class D, Arpi Reinecker and Robin Helton in the Toyota Castrol dealer team, 5 hours, 50 minutes and 32 seconds. Neil Woolrich and Paul Vermark in the Mitsubishi Vodacom vehicle, 6 hours and 19 minutes. And in Class F, Theo Kutsia and In Wedderburn in the Chevrolet, 8 hours, 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Here come the quads, Kenny.
Yeah, Christophe van der Merwe is having a great run. Looks like he's got this one sewn up. Be interesting to see once Vickers is ready to race again how competitive the guys are together.
So Christo, the winner by a long shot, in fact, very much over 40 minutes or so, his winning margin. You'll see there in the classification in the open class. Christo winning it on his Yamaha, 6 hours, 22.16, and that's quite a gap to second and third place. In the 200cc class for the quads, Cornel de Villiers in the Yamaha, winning it in 7 hours, 49.33. Just a few Ks to go, the rocky section again at the end, and everybody waiting for the arrival of Alfie Cox.
Right, yeah, you can see how much easier it is for the bikes to get down these mountains than a vehicle that weighs a couple of tons.
Alfie really just lapping it up, and again, as we were saying earlier, it's almost like a cruise, this event after Paris-Dakar.
Yeah, well, here we have Daryl Curtis, who hopes to be in Dakar this year, and I'm sure he'll... Yes, Glenn, but these guys are really top-class athletes. They train unbelievably. They're in the gym. They're doing road work. And, they're top-class athletes.
Mistake. I mean, I just finished my water about 10 Ks from home. I've been saving it along the way. But it's the hottest we've ever had to ride in, I think.
Second overall, Daryl Curtis, and first in the 250 category.
And a nice outing for him in this, the first off-roader, the Barbasfun 500 in Delareval, coming up, of course, on the 21st of March.
And Rian van Niekerk, first in the 200cc category.
So the open class classifications, Alfie Cox, who else on the AGA Panasonic Castrol KTM, 4 hours, 58 and 1 second. And in the 250cc class, Daryl Curtis winning it on his AGA Panasonic Castrol KTM, 5 hours, 4.49. And Rian van Niekerk on the AGA Panasonic Castrol KTM winning the 200cc class in 5 hours 21.32. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this coverage of the Tarkastad 400, and Kenny, as you said earlier, it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, well, Neil's had a problem and he's got towed up to the line, not over it, and they're pushing the vehicle across the line so it finishes under its own power.
And the course well set out? Excellent course. I think it's probably in the 9 years or 10 years that Neil and myself have been racing together, probably the best course that I've driven, or not driven, navigated for it. It's excellent. It's got a bit of everything. The marking was excellent, organisation, road crossings, everything was just perfect.
So you had fun in Tarkastad?
Yeah, we'll definitely be back out.